Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. This is what it used to look like. We stopped printing in August of 2021, but we had Extended Stay America. We had Mike Kurtz, Ron Lacey, Dan Stern, and Eric Auger, excuse me. Great looking cover, but it's always good. This is from July, August 2012, way back when. Another good looking issue. Always like to see what I was doing. Oh, this was like a very memorable place. I've got this was a Marine who lost his life in Afghanistan, and he was on our plane back from Boston to Atlanta. And I'd never seen a ceremony at the airport. Anyway, it was riveting. I'll remember that day the rest of my life. The whole plane was just dead, just completely silent. And the Delta guys did a great job on the tarmac honoring him. He was actually on his way back to Raleigh. That's where he was from. And anyway, but listen, I grabbed the archives. I didn't even know that was the picture I was in. I've written, done so many issues since 2001, but it's always good to see what things were going on back. Let's see, that's 11 years ago, almost 12. And we thank everybody that was on the cover. So thank you, gents. When you guys were cranking and extended stay, building a bunch of hotels for all the workers out there to stay in as we get stuff done. So hope everybody had a great weekend. We're starting the week out. Sunny here in the ATL, a little chilly at night, but we'll take it. And the lake's still full. Every time it rains, a little less water that comes in. During the winter, we like keeping the lake as full as possible because we know we're going to use lots of water in the spring and the summer when things get hot again. But hopefully everybody had a great weekend. Hey, Falcons won. That was great. Bulldogs are off. They've got the University of Florida, the biggest cocktail party happening in Jacksonville coming up next weekend. So everybody down here in the state of Georgia. I'm a Yankee living in the South, so I pull for all the teams, but it's going to be a great game next weekend. And you got the baseball playoffs going on. You still got, the Phillies are in it, Houston and Texas, and the Phillies, I think, can close it out here tonight against the D-backs out of Phoenix. But hopefully they'll both be really good games, and may the best team win. So, but other than that, you got hockey starting, NBA. I mean, it's just cranking. Indoor lacrosse is going to happen here. Our Georgia Swarm's going to get back on the green turf on the at the arena, and can't wait to go down and see the boys get her done. We'd like to see another championship brought back here. And but other than that, listen, time's flying. Got Halloween coming up in a couple of weeks, and then you got Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, Hanukkah, and then boom, the year's over. So this year's almost done. This is the quickest year I think I've ever gone through. I mean, it's just amazing how quick it was. Just January 1st, 2023, and here I am coming down to the end of October, and a couple months left, and boom, this year's been over. But what a wild and crazy ride it's been. So hope everybody, like I said, is starting the weekend on a positive note. Got a clear mindset and ready to get all your to-do list, all the items on your to-do list checked off. Got a gentleman, he's on the road today, and he fit me in, from his hotel room, traveling like a banshee, trying to get things done. His name is Mr. Rob Downs, and he's the CEO of Managed IT Solutions. He's an IT guy, and he was back in, doing it before even people knew what IT was doing. So Rob, say hello to our guests out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hello, guests.
Yeah, thanks. And where are you traveling? What hotel? Where are you?
I'm in the lovely Hard Rock Cafe and Casino down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, attending a cybersecurity conference, amazingly enough.
Yeah, no, well, so where are you normally out of? Where's your home base?
So my business operates out of the Raleigh, North Carolina area. So we have clients throughout Central North Carolina.
Yeah, awesome. So the reason why I had Rob on is, listen, a lot of people don't understand about IT, and listen, right now without IT, it's probably very, very tough for your, business to operate. And obviously, when you're doing new construction, you always want to get IT and all the wiring or whatever, unless it's wireless before the drywall goes up, because then it's kind of a hassle. And, but IT goes in everything, it's data, it's security, it's communications, it's all those things. And these days with technology, you need to have an IT expert. And he's got some other things he's going to talk about as well. So the way that the way that we do our episodes, Rob, is we do them in three parts. You're going to tell your story, where you grew up, kids, dogs, cats, if you played any sports, and how you ended up where you are today. And then we'll talk about the last 3 years of lessons learned of the roller coaster that we've all been on. And then you're going to leave one positive thought or phrase with our listeners in your contact info. So with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Sure. Thanks. So I grew up in Eastern North Carolina. So I'm a Tar Heel born and bred, though I'm a Wolfpack fan since I went to NC State. And so basically, when school, ended up going to Science and Math, which is one of the highest ranked schools in the U.S. It's a residential high school in North Carolina. We were one of the first states to actually have one. And so once I finished there, I went to NC State, managed to not live up to my potential, and went and joined the Air Force for a little bit to get something to do since I had no skill set.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. Went in as to be a reservist, ended up being full-time for several months. I went in right before Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and then as I got out of my initial training and got released to be a reservist, they activated my unit and I got to be full-time again. So that was fun. And then I finished that up while I was going to school. Got into computers mid-90s. I worked for a mom and pop shop that built custom computers back in the day. You could actually make money building custom computers back in the day. And then from there, moved over to be a contractor with a very large computer company, and worked in their systems in one of their labs, being an IT manager. Moved into other IT companies that were local and did IT for other companies, outsourced IT type of thing. Found an opportunity with a company during the .com to be their IT manager. Figured I was young and single, most importantly. I didn't have a lot of barriers to have to worry about. And so did that for a little bit. Unfortunately, we were one of the many, many, many companies that did not make it through the .com. And so after that, decided that if I was going to start my own business, then would be the opportune time. Still single, no commitments, a little bit of cash in my pocket to get started and bootstrap this thing. So been doing this since 2001, my own company. And we just, 22 years at this point. And somewhere in there, managed to get married. I have 2 kids. Had many, 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 many pets. All my family is very big into pets. So we have dogs and cats. So, we do both 4-legged furry friends, and then have just gone on to help move the business forward and keep it growing.
Hey, listen, my family was in upholstery furniture, so we had plants in North Carolina, and I did a little stint in Greensboro. We used to go over to Eastern Carolina, to Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach. Some of my favorite places. If any of you haven't checked out Wrightsville Beach or that whole little area, it's beautiful down there. And
yeah, we have a house down in that area. So
yeah, there you go. I'm coming now. You told me you got a house. I'm coming. So. Anyway, Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, it's just a beautiful area. And, North Carolina was great. The tech area, we were in Greensboro, but Raleigh, Durham, that whole tech area, it's kind of like the Denver Tech Center outside in Denver and stuff, but a lot of technology, a lot of really, really cool things that are going on in there. And, I started my company December 17th, 2001. So I did the same thing. I was with Nielsen, and they bought our company a couple years before that. And then when the .com burst, they whacked about X amount of magazines out of their portfolio. My little construction book that I started in 99 got the axe. And just like yourself, I bit the entrepreneurial apple. I just figured I was 39 debt free. My wife was going through the refi killing, at the time. And I had one, I just had one child, still in diapers. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And everybody told me not to do it. Don't do it. You've got an expense account, stay there. And they were telling me I could retire there and everything else. And I was like, I'm going on the road for a week. When I come back, you got to make a decision. So I went on the road. I came back. I asked, are you going to sell me the magazine? They said, no. I said, here's my resignation. Goodbye. And December 17th, I left and haven't looked back since. And it's been a roller coaster, went through the .com, the housing crash and this and that. Now what we've all gone through over the roller coaster over the last couple of years. And it's been a wild ride, learned a lot about myself, got some thick skin. And it's been an amazing ride. I wouldn't do anything else. I'm glad I made all the mistakes I did, because if you're not making mistakes, you're not going to learn from them and improve yourself. And that goes with anything. I'm a sports guy, so the more you practice, you will practice as you play, and as you're practicing, you're going to make mistakes too. So you learn from it. So. But it's been an amazing 23, 24 years, and I'm still standing. And I remember the .com burst, the little dog, I forget what he was called, everybody was buying them. And but it was crazy, during those times when you look back. And but once again, it builds your character. You got to roll with the punches, and you did the right thing. You were single, you didn't have this, that, you had a little money in your pocket, and boom, look at you today. You're still standing. So congratulations to yourself, as well as, look, I come from a military family. Anybody, Air Force, Marines, Army, whatever, Coast Guard, National Guard, we really appreciate anybody that does that and puts their line on the line and sacrifices. So thank you for your service, for sure. So let's talk about the last 3 years that we've all gone through. It was kind of wasn't like the .com burst. The .com burst was just, companies, they were over leveraged. They weren't probably what they were worth. Some of the people made a killing. Other people gotten it probably too late. And that's the way it was. I mean, a lot of companies thought that they were gonna make their hurrah, and that would be it, and someone would buy them. And but looking back, it was an excitement. It was an amazing time on the internet, because when you look at it, I remember when I just turned 60, so I was in University of Denver, and I remember when the first Macs came out, and computers in general. I actually, when I was in prep school, my senior year, I took a computer class, and I wrote some code on how to do batting averages for baseball players. And I was in the little tech room, and with all the little geeks, and I'm an athlete just trying to, get my grade so I could get my diploma. And we were using floppy disk, or I don't even know what they were, man. They were these big floppy things. They weren't even floppy disks. They were old Macs.
Oh, no. Those are floppy disks.
Floppy disk.
That's where I got the name of floppy. So most kids, probably your age or a little bit younger, probably. Certainly not my kids, because they don't know what that icon comes from. They're like, "What's that thing?" I'm like, "It's a floppy disk." They've never seen one. But before they had the hard 3.5s, we had the 5.25, we had the 8-inch, we had the 12-inch floppies. They were huge. But they were very floppy, because it was just a piece of plastic.
Yeah, it was. You stuck it in there, and
if you weren't careful, you bend it trying to put it in there, because it wasn't solid. So yeah.
Well, I took this class, so I had to learn how many bits were in a byte. If I said it backwards, I'm sorry. But anyway,
you get it right.
Yeah, but Dr. Tim, he was the teacher, and I'm still Facebook friends on him. He's still, teaching computer science, and it was a very, very, being actually in the lab was fine, but we had to learn all this other stuff. So that, the testing, wasn't an easy class. I took it kind of like, okay, this will be an easy thing, done. But then after I got done with it, I was like, wow, man, that was tough. That was as bad as, tough as calculus was. So in general. But I'm glad I took it, because I really didn't know. And then as things evolved, I went through, 2001 and this and that, and then laptops and this and that. And, now I look, I've got a PC, Mac, and, phone. It's just amazing where technology has gone. And And over the last year, I've taken a year's worth of digital classes, and I've learned so much of that, what technology can do to make your life so much easier. I've learned that I've left a ton of money over on the table over the years, but the technology wasn't there, but now it is. AI, the genie's out of the bottle. Who knows where that's going to go? But I use it every day, and plus, with a lot of other, platforms and app, apps, et cetera, plugins that I'm using them when I launch my digital agency here over the next couple of weeks and I go live. But it's an amazing thing. And after every one of my digital classes, I go back to my wife. I'm like, you're not gonna believe what I just saw. I mean, this is just unbelievable. And so many of the people like yourself were at the beginning, you must laugh because you had to figure out everything on yourself when you went, when you look back, with coding and this and that, you didn't have tutorials, or you didn't have YouTube where you could go find out, and you just had to wing it and figure it out with all. Am I right?
Yes, there was that, or we had these old-fashioned thing called books that we used
Yeah.
to read through. And as well, if you're really geeky, there were BBS's bulletin boards where you could dial in with your modem and post questions up, and other geeks and nerds would hopefully answer. Nothing against the geeky nerdy crowd. I consider myself a geek and nerd. But yeah, that's it. And I do chuckle when people are complaining about it's hard to do something and they can't figure it out. And back in the day, we used to call, when we started using Google, which is about 2001. I probably didn't start. No, actually, I did start using it in 2001. And so over the years, it became to be known as, Google Foo, right? How good is your Google Foo? Are you good at putting in the right questions to get decent answers out of it? So that became a skill in and of itself as well. So everybody needs to kind of embrace something as it comes out. You don't have to become an expert at it, but you definitely have to be willing to get into it and use it properly to leverage the tools, right? So Google Foo is one thing. Nobody's come up with chat foo or chat GPT foo or whatever they want to call it, but a great tool to be used and leveraged. But you do have to actually learn how to use it. It doesn't naturally give you exactly what you might want to have or see. And good news is you can go on YouTube or online and find tons of people who can tell you how to do good prompts. Because at the end of the day, that's really what drives AI is a good prompt. So yeah, I've seen it all. I mean, I started with the internet at college, I'm sure just like you did. And that was pretty much the only thing that was connected were colleges and universities. And as it grew over time, did dial up just like everybody else probably did dial up originally, and then the slow migration into cable modems or DSL to be able to get internet, and now fiber at your house, right, where you're getting gig speeds. Where when I started doing dial up, it was 14.4, right? And so 14.4K, not M, not G, K. So it's a factor of 1,000 every time you do something like that, right? So 1,000 Ks a meg, 1,000 megs a gig, so infinitely faster than it used to be for the internet. So much more useful. And the .com, we were shooting to do all these things back in 2001. I think we finally got Web 2.0 right, probably 2010, 2012, something around that time period. So the idea was there. The technology wasn't quite there, not quite ready. But of course, if you don't push it, it's never going to get ready, right? So somebody had to do it. I'm glad to have gone through it. I'm glad to have played a small part in moving it forward, and supporting those people who actually did move the needle a lot more than I did. And we were at a perfect place from a technology standpoint, so that when 2019 came around, we thought we were going to have the same problem that we had with the dot-com bust or with the Great Recession. And it ended up being that, a lot of companies, IT companies or IT admins in companies stepped up, right? And within 30 days, we had the nation running remotely and working almost at full speed, right? So it's amazing technology. And I think people take it for granted way too much, right? They don't think about it, especially, my kids, they're teenagers, 16 and 18. And so they don't think about the marvel of the thing in their hand and what it can touch, and the data and the information it can give to them. And instead they just sit there and doom scroll.
Yeah.
but
Yeah. The
so
thumbs. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just like anything else, though. Technology wise, people take advantage, take the refrigerator for granted, they take the car for granted, they take a client for granted. So computers just seem to accelerate a lot faster as the nature of the beast as some of those other things, but still all these things are grand and glorious things, and a tribute to the ingenuity of mankind.
I still tell people, I say, look, this phone is the best tool you can ever have because there's 8 billion people on the planet. Most people have a phone, and you can do anything that you want with it. And 93% of the people that get text, they're gonna reply to it. And it's just it's a marketing marvel. You can run your business right here from the palm of your hand. You can be anywhere in the world. I was already working out of my house, so I really didn't, when the roller coaster, hit in 2020, I was already used to kind of working out of my house and all that stuff. But it was amazing because the biggest difference between like 9/11 and the dot-com burst and all that, people were still in business, and it was kind of a short hiatus, but people, got back on the planes in March of 2020. Supposed to be a couple of weeks. Now we're here 3.5 years later, and we're still kind of talking about it. Even though we're out of the tunnel, there's still some potholes and little bumps in the road that we've been going over. But all in all, just like Zoom was around, or you might use Teams out there and the different communication platforms, but it's not going away. I mean, this has just been a marvel in itself. I remember I had just bought my mic, and I was going to do my podcast, interview people out on the construction site. And then when everything got shut down, I decided to do my, my podcast. And now, I've got, I don't know how many episodes, and I had a bunch of other videos too. I've got over 600 videos on my channel. But just on my podcast channel, I just went over almost 12,000 subscribers, and it keeps growing every month. And it's just, people tell me all the time that they're sick of being Zoom, but I always tell the story that with technology, I had a project management firm say, today I was in the Middle East, I was in South Africa, I was in Europe, I was in Latin America, I was in Canada, and I did a couple of walkthroughs in the United States. Uh, you know, Before the shutdown, I would have been on a plane that would have taken me 3 weeks. Now I can do all that in one day. And now I can kind of pick and choose where I want to go. And I always tell people, look, you should make 10 calls a day with your phone, just because it's just nice. You can do Zoom, but I like calling people. I pick them out every morning. And even if I get voicemail, it's always just nice to do that. And I still believe in snail mail with writing a handwritten note if the post office delivers it. But I still believe in that. I think because you get less mail in your post office box these days. Everybody's trying to do email and this and that. Curiosity killed the cat. If you really want to catch someone's attention, write them a snail mail, and they're going to open that package if it gets delivered, or a letter, or what have you. It's just very, very effective, from just a communication standpoint, in my opinion. But so let's talk about, January of 2020, construction booming, cranes everywhere. I don't care what city you went to. It was just amazing. And then March came, second week, the March Madness got canceled, and everything got shut down. And then no one really knew what the heck was going on. So a lot of companies, I don't like using the word pivot because I've heard it too many times, but you had to figure out what you were going to do. I was just lucky I had a digital magazine forever. So I just ignored it. I was just lucky I had it in place. Thank God I was smart enough that I did it way back when. But talk about how yourself and how you helped some of your clients, kind of weather that storm over the last couple of years, and what success stories that, our listeners out there in commercial construction coffee talk might find of interest.
Right. So not only our company, but a lot of companies in my industry, I had mentioned earlier, probably by the end of April, we had a lot of people coming along remotely. In our case, we probably had half our clients enabled to be able to work or use our remote tool if they wanted to, the one we use to support them, that they could log into their computer at work, right? And we wanted to make sure that they were doing that instead of connecting their home computer to the company network. I put a kibosh on that idea as soon as they started mentioning it. Just because when you VPN into a corporate network, your computer is now on the network. And we know nothing about your home PC, right? We don't know what type you've got, whether or not you've ever run an update on it, if you have antivirus on it. For all I know, the Russian mafia is using you to send troll emails out. So we're like, yeah, no, you can't do that. Sorry, that's not going to happen. However, you can go to our website that we use to remotely connect to your computers, and you can use that. And so we set them up on that. I'd say the vast majority of our clients who needed it before the end of April. And we basically set them up with a username, a password, and we insisted that they use MFA, so multi-factor authentication. So it wasn't just a username and password. They actually have a token that they got with their phone to be able to log in securely. So that was our biggest thing, is making sure that their environment stayed as secure as possible while they worked remotely. And many of my colleagues across the U.S. did the exact same thing, right? There were exchanges on forums. What are you guys doing? What tools are you using? Are you allowing your clients to do this? Why not? Yes, no. And so we were all exchanging ideas. And again, because of the internet and the speed and the technology, we were able to have those type of discussions on almost real time. And if somebody invented a better mousetrap, then we could all flock to that mousetrap, right? So after being able to get people to work online, or probably at the same time, then that's when we're talking to our clients about, do you want to be Team Zoom, or do you want to be Team Workplace from Google, or do you want to use Teams from Microsoft? What do you want to do? Zoom went out most of the time just because of ease of use, and they had more features just because that was their focus. Whereas Google, it was a thing that they did with Workplace. Teams from Microsoft, it was a thing they were doing. They were working on it. It was getting better. But then during that time period, they had a competitor come in and just start crushing it and dominating the market. And so they certainly had to pivot. And so, like I said, I think the vast majority of our clients were done within the month, and they were able to work. Now, most of our clients are professional types. Very limited human contact is needed for most of the type of businesses we support, or they can be spaced out enough. Like we had some construction companies where the staff worked at home, but the construction workers were on site.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and then they had protocols, which that is not part of our purview, right? We don't do. We're not there to protect people from viruses. We're there to protect computers from viruses. So.
Yeah. Construction companies, they kind of get a bit, if you're a general contractor, some of the guys that I know over the years, that they they don't even have a smartphone. They might still have a flip phone, or they're not very technologically innovative. Other ones are cutting edge. So, it's a wide range in construction. There's, listen, there's millions of contractors out there, or subs or whatever. And, some are more technologically advanced than others, but I'm actually doing I've got a webinar I'm doing on Wednesday. I've invited some of my clients, and we're going to talk about, how they market, what technology that they understand, and just kind of get a beat, and all different types of, I've got architects, contractors, building product manufacturers, all sorts of types of people are going to be on this panel that I've built. But it'll be interesting to see what they know and what they use and what they don't know. And because there are so many options, and, to be successful today you got to have a presence on the web. You got to have social media, and you got to have a plan of attack on how, whether it's a blog or a podcast or whatever. But if you use all these different things, you can reach so many people, because everybody's going to be on the web. I mean, they already are on the web. But being safe while you do communicate is very, very crucial, just like we want you to be safe on the construction site. But in addition, learning about all these different opportunities. That's what I thought. I knew a lot about digital, but after I took this, my classes over the last year, I learned funnels, autoresponders, Cloudflare for security, ClickMagic, AI, GBT, MindJourney, Discord. I could go down the list of all the stuff that I've learned, and it's mind blowing, because once you set it up, it's like you can apply it to any business. You might have to change a little copy here and there, but it's really push button 101. But the biggest thing is, if you have all these different plugins, I'm on one platform where everything's on one, so I don't have to log into all these different things. But the biggest thing is that if one thing doesn't work, it's kind of like your engine. If your spark plugs aren't charged, your engine's not going to turn over. So I kind of put it in simple terms. If one little thing is not set up correctly or installed correctly, it can just mangle you when you're just trying to figure these things out. But the biggest thing is fear. People, you can't be fearful of technology because it's everywhere. So, and once you learn it, it's just like learning how to walk. You got to learn how to walk before you run. So once you do get that fear factor out, you're not going to break your computer. You're not going to break stuff. We just did this launch, and we were trying to break Stripe, before we launched this platform, to go, to join our group. And, my tribe leader, we're a family, we call him the tribe chief. Anyway, he's like, come on, we gotta break Stripe. We got to figure out how we're going to do all this. We got to make sure, the developer before we launch any of this stuff. So do this, do that. And, it's amazing when you're trying to break something that's going to help you, but you want to make sure that it can handle not only, the volume, but also just, stuff that you don't want to happen, because first impressions are everything, and the biggest thing I think that a lot of companies that learn that, when they run remote and you got people set up, that people can be productive at their homes, and that you don't have the gossip at the water cooler. They're probably going to put more hours in, but they also found out that there was more to life than just work, and that balance of enjoying your life, being productive. I mean, you don't know how many firms over the last couple of years that I've talked to that said, we just had the best years that we ever had. If we had more project managers or superintendents or foremans, or just, labor in general, welders, HVAC, electricians, we could have built more stuff, but they just weren't out there. And that was the biggest thing that I think that, held back the economy from really, really coming back, in full swing, just because of those shortages. But as we move into 2024, we only have a couple months left of Q4 in 2023. I just had this women's roundtable I did last week on Friday, and I asked them, what are you bullish or bearish on 2024, and what's your resolution? And so many of them said, hey, I want to learn about technology. I want to learn some new things. And the day you stop learning is the day you should go do something else. So learning about, whether it's Google ads, TikTok ads, or what your Google rank is, or improving your SEO, don't hire someone to do it. Learn it yourself, because you're just going to appreciate it so much more. And at least that's my take on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just like,
Well,
go ahead.
I'm big on outsourcing. So, I mean, that's what we do, right? We're outsource IT for small, medium-sized businesses, right?
Right.
And I think you should understand how it works, just because you know what you're getting for your money and how to judge if somebody's successful or not successful. If you've got the time, then certainly have at it. But, the thing I tell my kids is, time or money, one of these things you can make more of and the other one you can't, right? And so I'm like, if you can leverage your money to get more time back, then leverage your money to get your time back, and use it for things that are important, either growing the business, if you're a business owner, or spending time with your family, or doing what you love, right? So, I mean, I do some of that stuff too, and I'm not saying don't ever do it, but I'm an IT guy, and so it's kind of playing with the Tinker Toys. For you kids who don't know what Tinker Toys are, go Google it.
Yeah.
It's cool to know how it works, right? But there are certain things that you've got to do as a business owner, for example, that you're the face of the business. You're going to be the one doing the video, and we started doing some videos, right? You think I would have done them for years. I've done them spot here and there throughout the years. I'm trying to get better at it. But the point I want to get to is where I can just hand that off to an assistant and go, okay, here's the raw feeds. Go make it look pretty. Put all the fancy fonts on it and upload it. Thank you. And then come back with reports and tell me how we're doing.
Well, like my digital agency, as I was, thinking about it and how I was going to develop it, My thing was like, if I'm going to present it to someone, I want to make sure that they know that I'm knowledgeable enough, that I know how everything works. However, I'm not going to be clipping stuff. I'm not going to be, I've built a team where I know that this is, like if your toilet's plugged, you don't hire an electrician to come and fix your toilet. You hire a plumber. So if you're going to outsource stuff and do those kind of things, that, you know, you hire a specialist that's in there. And the amazing thing is that if you learn your trade and you're really good at it, and you like it, and you can have fun. It's a nice side hustle that you can do, and technology especially. I mean, you can go on Fiverr and find all those people that are just, very, very affordable, and you find the right guy, and he has your same vision. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and he said, yeah, my buddy it was a real estate one. This guy called the Real Estate Ninja, I think he's called. Anyway, he said, yeah, he's a fireman, but he has his podcast. Anyway, he goes, yeah, one of my buddies that's a fireman with us, he's right now there's kind of fruits are becoming, short-lived in the supermarket and this and that. He's out of California. So he goes, yeah, one of my buddies, look, you break a branch, you stick it in the ground, and it starts growing. Now this guy has 200 trees, and he's going to start harvesting, whether they're apricots or whatever, and he's going to start selling it. And there's a side hustle, but it's not computers. It's freaking, growing stuff. So, with everything that's going on, in the world today, it's crazy every day. Who knows what's going to happen? But there are these hustles out there that if you like what you're doing and you have fun with it, you can make money at it. And that's the name of the game. And so, if what was one of the coolest things that you think you saw that happened over the last 3 years of the roller coaster? As you got people set up and got them remote, and what do you think the coolest thing that you saw over those 3 years was?
Well, I think it's, just seeing all the tools that came out of it, or it got better. So to say, filling the niche that needed to be filled that was created by this vacuum or void. We still have that kind of vacuum or void out there. So there's still products coming out to help people communicate being outside the office. Whether it be digital whiteboards, where you can draw your ideas on there. You've got computers that are all getting touchscreen, or you can write on them, so you can draw on the screen or do whatever you need to do to get your point across. I think these are all great things. And with the trends being, office space is still tons of office space still.
Yeah.
They're having a hard time filling it because people don't want to get back to work. And you're right, companies were, they're reporting, great earnings, profitabilities, productivity. I think what happened was, same thing that happened when I was working at that big computer company out in the park. When I was a manager, I had some flexibility in my time, right? Because I was a manager. So I would take the afternoon off and go play golf because it was gorgeous outside, and it's North Carolina and we have lots of golf courses.
Sure.
And tell my guys, hey, it's 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, whatever. I'm like, I'm going to hit 18. I'll be back by 5.
Yeah.
So before you leave, I'll be back and we can go over. And they looked at it and gave me a hair eyeball. I was like, dude, I'll be here till 10. I don't want to hear it from you. I'm probably still going to be here longer after I get back than you work today. So, but now everybody has that advantage or opportunity, right? Before, they might have to do something to schedule to be able to cut work early to go catch their kid's baseball game or basketball game. And I know, as a parent, that was one of my favorite things to do, is go catch games for my kids and watch them play. Right. So people understand that, right? And they get that, right? It's something great they can do. And most people don't want to abuse the privilege and don't want to get called out and have to be back in the office. So they'll make sure they get the work done. And honestly, the studies that I've seen from it, they get more than what they would have done if they were working at the office. So,
oh yeah. I mean, corporate real estate, look, I mean, occupancy rates, depending on what city you're looking at, they're definitely down. We're in construction. That's my sector. So we kind of look at it as something's going to have to happen with those spaces. Someone's going to renovate them. They're going to become something. What they are, that's the $1 billion question. but they're going to be changed. It's just like I always like when I don't read the newspaper more anymore, but I do it online if I'm going to look at it. But the bottom line is, if you look at so and so is going to close X amount of facilities or stores, but when you leave 4 or 5 paragraphs on, but they're going to build 10 more new ones that are superstores or X amount of square feet. And from a construction standpoint, that's more signage, different colors, different paint, different fixtures, different IT. I can go down the list of all the different things, whether it's a new build or a renovation. And so it's a positive thing. It's just like when a hurricane comes in, a lot of devastation and destruction or thunderstorms or what have you. From a construction standpoint, all that stuff's going to have to get fixed and so forth. So I never look at it as a negative. It's a bummer that that it happened, but all that stuff's going to get rebuilt. So it creates jobs, it creates momentum. You can have better technology, whether it's, putting houses up on stilts so they don't get flooded by the storm surge, putting on, windows that can, aren't going to break during a storm. I mean, I could go down all the list on that. So, but all in all, technology is an amazing thing. It's not what you don't have, it's what you do with what you have. And then
Right. And I mean, the lever got bigger, right? That's what technology is, a lever to propel your business or in your life forward faster. That's the whole premise behind it. That's why people put up with it. If it wasn't good, then we'd go back and revert to paper and pencil, and we haven't. We don't. I mean, even our paper and pencil today is a tablet, right?
Right.
And I swear, I think it's just for old guys like me who want to actually physically write something out instead of keyboarding it all the time.
Hey,
So,
writing cursive is like an art these days. I mean,
okay.
I go to my class, I'm writing my notes down. I could do it on my tablet or whatever. I like writing it out, even though
I do too. And I do it at conferences. It makes the connection a little bit better between what you're hearing, what you're learning. Depends on who you are. And a side story that's a little weird, but my daughter came up through public schools, or not public schools. She came up through charter schools. So she just switched she's in her junior year. She just switched to a public school, and she's in there taking notes. And one of her friends was like, I don't know what he's saying. I missed out. Can I borrow your notes? And so she handed it over to him. Yeah, the guy couldn't read it. It was in cursive. She learned cursive in her charter school.
Yeah.
And they don't do it in public schools anymore. So I was very amused by that story. But I'm getting old, and I'm showing my age as well. So
listen, I always tell people, I'm like, look, you should just send a handwritten note. I mean, it's one of the most powerful things that you can do, and it's not going anywhere. And a lot of people don't know how to write cursive. They're not teaching in school these days. And I think that they should bring it back along with shop class and trade schools and
most certainly, yeah. I mean, there's all these trades that should be filled out there. These guys make a good living and an honest living. We need more of them. All of them: plumbers, electricians, auto mechanics, carpenters. I give my right arm for a good carpenter every other month of the year. Probably, I've got a project going on that I don't want to do. And I'm not really good at anyway. It takes me 10 times longer to do it than if I'd hired a professional to do it. So again, it's that whole time money thing, right?
Yeah. No, listen, my son, we yanked him out of school. He did online his senior year. He didn't have the math out of schools to get into the automotive shop class that they had at the school. So we yanked him out. He went to school online. He worked in the local garage, and now he's on the flight line at Boeing in Charleston, working on 787s, $350 million airplanes, depending on how they're set up. And he just well, he was going to solo this weekend to get his pilot's license, but it was a little windy in Charleston, so he's got to wait another, till maybe sometime this week or next weekend to, get his license. But and looking at what he learned, it was woodworking, it was welding, it was sheet metal, it was all that stuff. But some of the textbooks that he was reading, like I said, I took calculus and physics, and I took Latin when I was in prep school and all that. But I was looking at it, I was like, darn, man, this is some good stuff. And, he's taking his notes, but he did some of it on the computer. But the bottom line is, when you go and take your test, 3 of them are written, 2 of them are hands-on. So it was a nice combination to get your, your A&P license. And, the whole trade,
aircraft and power plant, or airframe and power plant.
Airframe and power plant. Thank you. Anyway, but now, it's amazing. And but he's on a tablet and he's looking at stuff. He can look up a PDF. He can find anything that he wants on the web if he doesn't know it. And it, uh, it's been really, really a really, really cool thing to see, that as your kids grow up, you just don't know how they're going to go. When they're 14 or 15, you don't know. He hated to go to school at 7 o'clock. He had to be there. We had to drag him out of the bed, throw him in the shower, come on, you can't be late, but then when he found his calling, it was like a complete 180, and the biggest thing is he's learning technology. He's
Right.
avionics. He's learning how, everything on that, on a Cessna or a Piper or whatever he's flying that day. He's
Right.
got his tablet for directions and his maps, and you can't do anything without technology today. So you
Right.
might.
Exactly. I mean, when I was in the Air Force, I worked on aircraft too. I was a maintenance mechanic on KC-10s. And so we'd have to know what we were going to do, where it fell into we have tech orders or TOs, and we'd have to check out that book for that job, right? And there were 100, 200 books, depending on what you were doing, right? Because that's the way it was. This
Yeah,
was in the 90s, right? And now they just have a tablet and they can just pull it up and they can search it. There was no searching so which page was that on again? Flip,
yeah.
flip, 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 flip. And so, that's great leverage for that technology. Pilots, they used to carry a briefcase, that big briefcase. It was full of
Oh yeah,
maps, right?
yeah.
They don't carry those anymore. They have a tablet.
Mhm.
That they use. So everybody's got technology touching their lives. Most everybody's got technologies touching their lives in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Um, I mean, electricians have it, plumbers have it, accountants have it. So it's there, it's important. And like I said, if it wasn't something that you could leverage to increase your productivity and your employees' productivity and put more money to your bottom line, it wouldn't be there, right? It's the way capitalism works. Go capitalism. Um, and so the biggest thing is, the past 3 years, things have changed. Actually, more than that. They were changing before the roller coaster trip started. We saw hackers, right, starting to make more inroads and starting to get in systems. And then once 2020 rolled through and people were working from home, well, I mentioned that we wouldn't let people connect from their home computers because we didn't know what was going on with it.
Mhm.
Well, hackers took advantage of that for a lot of companies, because not all companies did that. Not all IT companies thought about it. Some people just wanted it done, and we'll worry about it later. Some people didn't even think about it, right? But we did. Like I said, I've been doing security for over 20 years. And so attacks went way up. They didn't go down, right? And so you saw the numbers increase year over year, and they're still increasing. For cybercrime and cyber criminals, making money off of people who make an honest mistake, right? They click on the wrong email 92% of the time. That's how they get in, is what's called a business email compromise.
Oh yeah.
And so it's something you got to be on the lookout for. It's something you want to make sure that as an individual you're wary of, as a business owner that you're training your employees for, and that you can help prevent this thing, right? So it's just um, one of the things that my colleagues will say, and I will say too when we're doing a presentation, is if cyber crime and cyber criminals were their own economy, like their own nation, they would be the third largest economy in the world behind the United States and China, right? That's how
Oh,
much money, right? People are like, well, why did they do it? Like, ask John Dillinger, why did he rob banks?
yeah.
Because where the money was, right?
Where the money was.
And so that's why they're doing it. Is it's very profitable for them. And a lot of small businesses don't think it's going to hit them or impact them, but your target of opportunity, your random target, 99.9999% of the time, they're not targeting you directly. They're not looking for you, David, right? Um, your email and password comes up in a dark web scan because LinkedIn got hacked and they were able to get your username and password off of that. And so they go, hey, let's try this over here over at Bank of America. Oh, look, it works, right? People who use passwords don't use your passwords. Um, and so it's that, or, they sent out 100,000 emails and somebody in your office clicked on it and now you're a target, right? So it's definitely not that they're thinking that, oh yeah, I want to target your construction business because you did me wrong. It's say somebody at your company clicked on something and now have access to your company computers. Awesome. Let's see what we can do. So
I have no time. I have no time for hackers. Okay, my lacrosse stick's behind me. If I found a hacker, I'd like to tie him up, put him up against the wall, and shoot balls at him and pelt him because it can really wreck your business. Can waste your,
again,
it's very time consuming to fix things, and not that they're not mean people or whatever, but like you said, it's the way they're making their money, and you can't fault them for that. But I have no time for those guys.
well,
They're terrorists in my opinion
well,
because
yeah, and it's I mean, a good number are companies, right? That's what they do. It's like
oh
kind
yeah,
of mafia online. It's
yeah,
an organization. It's normally not a person. It's not. I know we all have this idea of some kid in his mom's basement with a hoodie on and dark glasses sitting there in a dark room doing it. No, it's I won't
these
say
guys
it.
go in all day. They're going into work and they're going to go in and hack people.
Yep, that's what they do, and they
Yeah,
get a bonus because they hacked. They were able to bring in an extra $100,000 this month. Great year's $10,000 bonus.
yeah,
Awesome, thanks, boss.
yeah.
And some of these companies, they're legit companies as far as the outside world sees them, right? I had a presentation I was at it a couple of years ago, and you know that was scary. And they were talking about the workers knew what they did, the CEO and CFO knew what they did, but HR had no idea what was going on. The accounting department had no idea what was going on. These guys had corporate picnics with their families. They had health insurance, the whole 9 yards. It's a full business, right? And it's in a country who, as long as you didn't target them or anyone in their country,
You could
they were
operate. Mhm.
right. So,
Yeah,
and that's who's hitting up people. It's not. It's generally not the nerdy kid.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. No, I listen. I totally get it. Hey, listen. If you're an IT, if you're a company out there and you're looking for some IT expertise, or you had some questions and they wanted to reach out with you, how would they make contact with you? What's the best way?
so our website is managedits.com. Looks kind of like manage edits, kind of. Or they can email us over at info@managedits.com. A lot of managed ITS will show up if you go to Twitter. I think that's our handle. I want to say it's managed IT solutions on YouTube or Facebook. So that name's in there. If you get to our website, my smiling, lovely face is on there, so you'll know you're in the right place.
All right. So listen, if you're looking for IT, or you had some questions, or you're thinking about upgrading your security, or what have you, there's so much that goes on in IT. Here's a gentleman that can help you. He's been around since the beginning. The floppy disk that we were talking about, it's come a long way. And you gotta listen. You gotta have things secure. You just, you wear protection when you're on the athletic field. Your computer needs that protection too. So we just got rid of our antivirus, or with a heavy duty developer one, and I feel so much more safer than what I was using before. And I wouldn't even known about it until my web guy, we were talking, and he's like, "Oh man, you got to check this out." And I'm like, "Wow, this is awesome." So and every day technology is at warp speed right now. So everything you might think that right now, 6 months on them, the biggest and better things going to get coming down the pipe. So if there was one positive thought or phrase that you'd like to leave with our listeners as we end Q4 and go into 2024 in the new year, what would it be?
Ignore the naysayers, and just get it done. Right. The economy grows because people like you and me and other construction firms are there doing the day-to-day grind, and just get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, when I started my company, everybody told me, don't do it, stay where you're at, and I was like, nope, I had my blinders on. I knew what I wanted to do. And, I'm still standing today. And I have no time for negativity. If
Yeah.
you get the naysayers, or the doggy den, or they're poo-pooers, don't surround yourself with those people. Get rid of them,
Your
man.
friends. Yeah.
There's so many people out there that want to help you and have fun with you and be in your sandbox, build stuff. Negativity, go someplace else. I don't have time for it. So I'm right there. I had a guy last week. He was he was down in I think he was down in San Antonio, and I asked him, when he goes, just do the damn thing. Just get it done. And I was like, yeah, man, you get her done. That's that. So I'm right there with you. Listen, if anybody wants to reach me, I'm at davidc@ccr-mag.com. Hey, Rob got on here because the publisher sent me a press release. I looked at it and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to have this person on. So, if you guys want to get on there, send me something to look at. It's very tough to get in the magazine, but we look at everything. I got a bunch of social media platforms where we post a blog all day long. So send me something. It could be anything. It could be a charity golf tournament. It could be new personnel, a new product announcement, what have you. Send it to me. Let me judge the book by its cover. And we'll come back to you, with our TAT, that's turnaround time. And we'll post it. We'll send you the URL. It's win-win for your Google ranking, your SEO, that's search engine optimization, for those of you who don't know what that is, or your KLT factory, know, learn, trust. I'm just throwing all the stuff that I've learned. So anyway, send it to us. We want to look at it. We get a couple million people a month that hit the site, and there's X amount of unique users. And listen, it's like playing the lottery. I know you don't like when I say it, but if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. You don't send me something, you can't get on the podcast or in the web or in the magazine. So send it to us. Let us be the judge on it. So this has been a great discussion, because I'm a data guy and I like talking to, IT and, all that stuff. And, without you guys, business wouldn't wreck. You're kind of like a frontline dude, man. You're like probably one of the most important guys that are out there, as a GC. Yeah, putting the foundation, the steel and the roof and all that. But if you don't have IT, you can't run the business, because it's the brains of the whole gig, and so thank God for guys like you. All right. That's all I'm going to say. So as we finish this up, a couple things. Number one, hit that like button. We want to get the algorithms out here so we can have this IT in our discussion. And, Rob and I talking, security and intelligence and computers and floppy disks, for those of you who don't know what they are. And number two, we want you to be safe on the construction site. So you can go home, see your kids, have dinner, get some Z's, and get up and be able to do it the next day. And number three, I know it's starting to get fall-like and it's not as hot as it was, but make sure you stay hydrated out there on the construction site. Even though it's not as hot, make sure you drink lots of liquids, because when you get dehydrated, you get headaches, and that's when mistakes happen. So once again, stay safe on the site and just stay hydrated. So Rob, I know you're on the road, so pleasure meeting you. And if I get up to Raleigh, I look forward to seeing you in person. If you come down to the ATL, give me a shout, and we'll go catch some grub, and show you the hospitality down here in the LA of the South. And with that said, say goodbye from the road.
Goodbye.
And I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, about 35 miles north of downtown Atlanta, right below the Buford Dam on Lake Lanier. And we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Rob, pleasure. Safe travels out there, and enjoy the rest of the year and the holidays and all that good stuff. And everybody out there, we'll see you next time. Ciao.